can be difficult to implant LV leads when the takeoff of the target vein is very close to the os of the CS. The use of a support wire can make this a lot easier. In this case, it was a previously failed implant, and so we started by cannulating the CS with a 9 French internal diameter Worley sheath. The venogram is important. The venogram, the balloon must be occlusive and full strength contrast utilized. And what we'll be doing is looking for retrograde filling to see if we can figure out where the origin of the branch is near the CS os. And you can see here we're doing the venogram. We have total occlusion. There's no retrograde, there's no reflux, and so the contrast is filling retrograde, and you can see that the target vein has its origin very near the CS os. To be able to successfully implant these patients, I find the best way to do this is to insert a support wire. To do this, I use the vertebral vein selector to insert the wire. Trying to advance a support wire by itself typically just knocks the sheath out of the coronary sinus. So to get the support wire in, I advance the vertebral vein selector over a glide wire deep into the coronary sinus, as shown here, then take the glide wire out and replace the glide wire with an Amplatz extra stiff wire. Now it's important that it be a Cook Amplatz wire, because the other Amplatz wires tend to have a floppy section, particularly the J-tip Boston Amplatz wire, which puts the stiff part of the wire right near the os and actually pulls the sheath out of the coronary sinus. So you need to use an Amplatz wire with what's called a short taper, so that the stiff section of the wire starts relatively quickly after the tip. There is a Boston Amplatz wire that has a short taper, but the problem with it is that it has a straight tip, which is worrisome in terms of causing perforation. So once the Amplatz wire is safely in the coronary sinus, by exchanging the glide wire for the Amplatz wire is then clipped to the drape, which holds the Amplatz wire in position in the coronary sinus. The next step is to prepare for LV lead implantation, and here we're going to use the combination of the vertebral shaped vein selector, which we just used to put the Amplatz wire in conjunction with the 5.5 French renal LVI or subselector. So the vertebral vein selector is loaded into the subselector, and the combination is then deposited in the coronary sinus with the vein selector extending into the coronary sinus. At this point, we need to uncover the os of the coronary sinus. So we're able to then withdraw the sheath all the way back into the right atrium. Now the support wire holds everything in place so that we're able to then direct the vein selector towards where we think the target vein has its origin. And so we'll turn the vein selector towards the lateral wall and withdraw the vein selector. And in this case, the vein selector dropped into the middle cardiac vein, which was not what we were really looking for. And you can see that we're in the middle cardiac vein with contrast. So what we want to do is we want to go back and we want to find the target vein, which has its os someplace here close to the os of the CS. One way to do that would be to advance the vein selector towards the target vein, but that sometimes can be problematic. And so the other alternative is to go back and start over. And to do this, we withdraw the vein selector into the sheath, advance the sheath back into the coronary sinus, and then repeat the process of holding the vein selector and wire in position and then sliding the sheath back out of the CS, and then withdrawing the vein selector, looking for the branch. And this time we were able to successfully locate the target vein, which you can see has an os very close to the os of the CS. And this was possible because of the good torque characteristics of the vein selector. Once we have the vein engaged with the vein selector, we'll advance wires into the target vein, and then advance the vein selector deep into the target vein, and then use the rail that's been created by the vein selector and the wire to advance the subselector over the vein selector. Here we're doing that deep into the coronary sinus target vein, and then once we're in this position, the vein selector or the subselector is here, the vein selector is here, so we're certain to get the lead at least this far into the branch because that's where the subselector is. So we'll withdraw the vein selector and implant the lead. All of this is fairly straightforward, utilizing the support wire. And again, the 9 French internal diameter of the sheath allows all of this to be done